guys, it's April, and the middle of the month is here again. It just keeps coming over and over and over again. So as you guys have noticed, I've started uploading some different kinds of videos because I wanted to start to include my enjoyment of coloring into this channel. I never thought I would be one that would steamroll into the adult coloring book world, but it has kind of snowballed and taken over. So I wanted to share that joy with you guys, and if you like some of the new videos that I've been putting up, let me know. I do have ideas for coloring reading videos that I want to kind of scatter here and there on my channel, and if you like that idea, let me know. And if you have any books that you think would be good for me to read in those videos, I'm open. I also wanted to remind you guys that the YA Booktube Awards are still going on, so if you haven't put in your nominations, you should do that as well and get in on the giveaway because free book. Free book. So now to get on to the real reason I am doing this video, and that is my mid-month wrap-up, so that you aren't sitting at the end of the month with a long video and I have time to actually talk about books, because I am back into the swing of things, and with holidays coming up, I can guarantee you there are going to be even more books on these wrap-ups, and I love doing that. I don't know where that sentence was going. To start out this month, I read Jane Steele by Lindsay Fay, and I absolutely fell in love with this book. It is not necessarily a direct retelling of Jane Eyre. It actually quotes the book within the book, so it's kind of like book inception. But Jane Steele's life almost parallels, but the major difference between the two is that Jane Steele is a murderer, and the way she deals with life and these murderers that she keeps committing for various reasons, just the nitty-gritty of all that, I absolutely loved. I also liked where the romance went with this more than I do in the original. I've always felt a little squirky about the original, but in this one, and the elements of different cultures that were brought into the story as well. I don't want to give a lot away, but if you do know the general gist of Jane Eyre, you will get the gist of Jane Steele. It's that orphan girl who grows up and then becomes a nanny, falls in love, and that all just kind of falls out that direction. I really, really like this book, and this is one of those books that I am going to have to add to my collection because I enjoyed it so much. And then I picked up The Accident Season by Mariah Fonley Doyle. This is the story of Kara and her family as they deal with October, in which it seems every year accidents happen. Sometimes in those years deaths will occur, and they think this year is going to be an exceptionally bad year. This story went a direction that I wasn't necessarily anticipating. It's a lot of psychological things that you have to put together and figure out, and I love how that all developed. And is it supernatural? Is it not supernatural? Is this a natural phenomenon, or is there something darker at work? And I loved going back and forth and all of that, so this book was a joy to read. So I recommend it if you like supernatural and psychological thrillers smushed together in a place where you can't really tell if it's one or the other. I then picked up Nerve by Jane Ryan, mostly because of the movie, and I wanted to see the movie, but I have this thing sometimes where I want to read the book before I see the movie so that the movie doesn't spoil me for the book, but the book always spoils me for the movie. Yeah, anyways. That was a tangent. Nerve is centered around this social game in which you take dares, and each time the dare is upped, but the prize is upped as well. It deals with technology and human psychology and what the limits are of what you will do for certain prizes. It pits players against player, and of course, it's gonna go into a really dark place at some point eventually where you're questioning on whether or not you will actually commit murder for said prize. It deals with technology and psychological games and how far can a human be pushed before they just shatter, and of course how much we will take that entertainment and not question it. I did end up watching the movie afterwards. It's hard to put them against each other. There are aspects of both that I really like, but they were both just okay. I then picked up Her Dark Curiosity, which is book 2 in the Madman's Daughter series, which is by Megan Shepherd. This one is a retelling of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Juliet has made it off of the island and she's back in London, and after dealing with the fallout of everything that happened on the island, she's trying to get back into life, but the island seems to have followed her, and so she's trying to put these pieces together at the same time of trying to find a cure for herself. And then of course it brings in that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde element, which brings in this really gothic feel, which is what really drew me to this series. This book in it of itself was a little underwhelming for me because you're dealing with this love triangle that Thank you, cat. So now that the cat has tried to destroy the area, you're dealing with this love triangle that I just really didn't enjoy a lot, but it's the gothic elements in this story that just kept me pulled in, and I can't wait to see what happens in book 3, which I do believe is a retelling of Frankenstein. So that should be fun. And then I picked up Phantom Dreams by Natsuki Taka. This is a supernatural manga that deals with spirits and exorcising said spirits. Tamakai is one such person who has the ability to exorcise these spirits, and this manga deals with him trying to figure out his powers and, of course, keep his family and loved ones safe. I did enjoy it. It wasn't overwhelmingly good, but it's something that I liked for a quick little read. I also moved on to book 2 of the Fifth Way series, which is The Infinite Sea. This is, of course, the continuation of the invasion of Earth and figuring out what the heck is going on and what do they want and what are they doing and why are they doing it. I did not enjoy this one as much as I did the first book, probably because this one follows more of Ringer's story and what's going on with Ringer. And the way some of the storyline was pieced together was a little weird in my taste, but a majority of this book followed Ringer. There was some flip-flopping back and forth. It is a good insight into what is going on and why it's going on, but it wasn't as good as the first. It wasn't. I wanted more. And then there was The Star-Touched Queen by Rashana Goski. This is the story of Maya, who has been cursed by her fortune, essentially cursed by the stars to marry death. She has to deal with being ostracized in her family and eventually, of course, marries death. See what happened there? She then is struggling to put together who her husband is, what he is, what all of this means, and where she fits in to everything. I love how it pulls in elements of Indian folklore and ties in all of these cultural pieces that I really enjoy and want to learn more about. It also has a feel of Eros and Psyche to it, which I just kind of grasp onto, so it was a very fun read for me. I highly enjoyed it, and that is that. And finally, there's Tongues of Serpents by Naomi Novik. This is book 6 in the Temeraire series, which is dragons in the Napoleonic War. At this point in the journey, we are actually in Australia and seeing everything that is going on during that era. The prisoner villages, I guess you can call them, where they're working off their penance, and then dragons, the Aboriginals, and then China. How does China fit into that? Well, if you want to know, read this book. It is interesting to see all this history and how it's woven in here, but at this point in the series, sometimes I'm fading off into the distance. But there are things in here that just frustrate the heck out of me, mostly to do with figuring out what's right and what's wrong and all of those human stuff. Huh. That stuff. So that is what I have read so far this month. The rest of this month is going to be a chaotic mess of photo editing, family gatherings, and just overall awesomeness. What is your favorite book that you have read so far this month? Let me know down below, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.